Fear and loathing grips the House GOP. It's a headline I wish I'd written instead of the guys at Politico, because it so perfectly capsulizes the current meltdown of the majority in the lower chamber. In the wake of Kevin McCarthy's ouster, Louisiana's Steve Scalise narrowly bested Ohio's Jim Jordan in a vote of the GOP conference. But instead of acknowledging the necessity of unity, Jordan backers refused to pledge their vote to Scalise, prompting him to step aside. Now Scalise supporters are withholding their support from Jordan in a tit-for-tat that's a surefire formula for stalemate and continued paralysis of the legislative branch during an international crisis and with a government shutdown looming. Panel, with selfish behavior like this, is it any wonder despots around the world say democracy is doomed in the long run? I throw that at you, Gary Pollan.
Well, I think it's embarrassing. I would point out that Jim Jordan supported Scalise after he did the right thing, said, I urge you to vote for him, I'm going to vote for him. And Scalise did the same thing for Jordan. Jordan's not going to make it. He's not going to. I don't know who's going to be the speaker. We had, remember, the person who got the most votes, right? Kevin McCarthy, who lost 8 votes. None of these other candidates have come close to him, so maybe they can bring McCarthy out of retirement and let him be back as speaker. But those who voted to oust him, based on, which is primarily Matt Gaetz, who is a total loser in my opinion, they're going to get nothing, and it's not helping. It's not helping the Republican Party. It's not helping the country. So let's get our act together.
Paul, you walk into one of your government classes and try to explain this to a group of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. I mean, thoughts?
No, this looks more like a Mean Girl convention than it does like a group of leaders. I think what's happened is everyone I've talked to says this could never happen in my workplace without consequences. And I think that's the part that's just confounding is, why can't they get this together? And what I hope for, I don't think it's going to happen. What I hope for is some type of coalition middle to coalesce and to say, we'll give you this if you give us that. And if that happens, I think almost all Americans would just break down crying in the streets, wondering like, oh, but there are so many important things happening right now that cannot function because our legislative branch is in shambles.
Chal, it kind of occurred to me, you know, Dave Phelan is speaker because he's got a coalition of Republicans and Democrats, and yet Democrats kind of, you know, they're allowing this total breakdown because they're not going to vote for any Republican up there instead of a middle-of-the-road candidate. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Okay, Charles, I'll throw it to Charles if you don't want it. You see what I'm saying? Dave Phelan is speaker because, you know, some 60-some-odd Democrats will vote for him, and he can cobble together 20 Republicans. I mean, what's going on?
Take it, Charles.
Well, I mean, we're seeing part of that now. You know, Jim Jordan had a majority of the Republican support, but you have the Republican Armed Services Committee chairman saying that the Democrats, if they give concessions, they'll cobble together people to help Hakeem Jeffries. Like, that makes no sense. So why don't you just get behind Jim Jordan and bring that whole coalition with you? But we're seeing them try to get over with the Democrats. Now, if the Republicans hand the Democrats a speakership, that's going to be absolutely crazy. And let's not pretend the House was not in paralysis when we had a speaker. They weren't doing anything to begin with. I mean, yes, they got the continuing resolution passed, but it wasn't like they were at the top of their game then either.
Bill King, quick answer. Has there ever been a better argument for a third party?
Yeah, this is two-party dysfunction on display. By the way, if Jim Jordan becomes a speaker, I predict that the Republicans will lose the majority in the House by a wide margin in the 24 elections.
We got